Hey everybody, it's JJamJim, and welcome to a first looks video for Plazas and Promenades, a brand new expansion pack releasing today, September 14th, 2022. We are also going to be taking a look at a couple content creator packs, one called Modern Mid-Century and the other called Seaside Resorts. We'll be taking a look at some of those assets in a little bit here. I am running every other DLC for this game. There are no mods currently installed other than a couple visual mods. One is Daylight Classic that is working in conjunction with a color correction LUT that I will be linking in the description down below. The other mod is called Hide It, and it is because I cannot stand looking at the seagulls and hearing the seagulls over every park that I place. Within the new expansion, there are also 5 new maps, 1 temperate, a tropical, a boreal, and 2 European versions. There's a couple of new things with plazas and promenades, but the biggest thing is pedestrian roads. As you can see, there are only emergency vehicles. We have 1 police officer here who is driving through the streets, but other than that, everything that you see here is all pedestrians. So pedestrian areas are created using districts in the same way park life, industries, and campus function. So you go to districts, and then you will click paint the pedestrian area. Now, you can have pedestrian roads outside of a pedestrian district, but if you zone or place buildings on that pedestrian road, they will have a little icon that looks like this right here. And basically what that means is it won't have access to cargo or garbage services, which leads me to my next point. Like the other DLCs that use this mechanic, you need to have a specific building that sort of kicks off your district. And that for this one is the pedestrian services point. Now, underneath the Parks and Plazas tab is where you will find your pedestrian area service buildings. Now, you can have one that is a small version and a large version that combines both cargo and garbage, and then you can have small and large versions specifically for garbage and specifically for cargo. I have those large versions right here. It should be noted that the garbage service points do not actually pollute on their own. They are just places where garbage is collected from the pedestrian areas, and that is picked up via a garbage truck from a waste transfer facility or a dump. Let's see if we can get this one in here. Exactly. This is the waste transfer facility. It is picking up trash and it is going to deliver it to the waste transfer facility. And then of course the waste transfer facility will get sent to the larger processing complex. But I do believe that a recycling center or a garbage dump will function in the same way. So commercial vehicles will drive into the cargo ports. They will drop off goods, and those will get distributed to the pedestrian areas without the use of vehicles, which is pretty magical and very cool. Once your district is painted and zoned, you can then click on it, and there will be all sorts of information in this menu available to you, including population, happiness, land value, etc. There are also 4 new policies. One of these policies is actually really valuable to take note of, and that is called Deliver Everything. So what it does is it says all buildings within this will get cargo deliveries and garbage service via the service points, even if they're not placed on pedestrian roads. Meaning, inside of pedestrian roads, you can have regular driving avenues. If that driving avenue is not connected to an outside driving avenue that has access to a garbage truck or cargo, they won't actually get serviced unless you were to check this area policy. So really valuable to take a note of that. The rest of them are, increasing happiness, a sugar band, which increases lifespan, but also increases crime rate, and then like slow driving areas. This one is also useful. It does lower the speed limit on roads that are maybe running through your pedestrian areas that do in fact allow vehicles. Another big new feature is a new district specialization that will zone your buildings wall to wall, creating a denser urban design. This is available for offices, residential, and commercial specializations. So under the districts, you'll see that there is commercial wall-to-wall. Again, all of the assets that spawn in with these specializations are the modern type of theme, the look that we're seeing with plazas and promenades. There is no difference between the high density residential and the low density residential. Along with the low density commercial and high density commercial, they will zone in the same types of assets. But it is a really, really great feature to build a larger downtown area with these wall-to-wall buildings, as long as you like the modern look. So let's take a look at all of the new assets that will be available in the new expansion. And a lot of those are roads, not just pedestrian roads either. We have some brand new additions to the base game for driving roads, including wider sidewalk 2-lane roads. These variations that previously only existed in a 4-lane fashion are now available. A narrow 4-lane road, which is something that I've been wanting for a very long time. Very excited about that being in the game. Along with a 4-lane narrow road that has bus lanes, a 2-lane one-way road with wider sidewalks, and then a bunch of new highway roads that are bus only or have bus only lanes. This is a huge game changer, especially if you want to increase using buses, which is something I don't use a lot of in my own cities, but something that we're definitely going to be doing a lot more of moving forward, especially when you can have bus only highway entrances and exits. So buses and emergency vehicles can only use these roads, something it's very, very exciting to see in the base game. And then you also have the option to have your freeways where there is a bus only lane, but then you can also have regular traffic on as well. Then we get into our pedestrian only roads. We have tons of new options. These are the sandstone variations with grass and trees in the center, trees on the side, bus only, which is a huge, huge deal as well, because that will then allow you to have public transportation within a pedestrian only road that can maybe deliver people from a bus onto maybe a more major road where there's either a metro stop or trams or something of that nature. Very, very cool. Then we get into bluestone. This is another variation. So the same ones that were in the sandstone are available in the bluestone, which have these nice sort of squares that are varying colors and really nice patterns and designs there. All the same ones. And then we have cobblestone, which also look really cool and have a couple different patterns going on here. A little bit of this like fish scale scalloped versions with the straight cobblestone, and all of those are available with the roads that we just previously saw. That is really cool. And they're also available in 4 lanes as well. So the same types of roads, but if you just want a little bit wider of a style, give your people a little bit more space to walk, that is all available there as well. Speaking of roads and transportation, there is a new bus stop that is available. Compact bus station that serves several different lines. There is an elevated metro station with shops underneath it, which is also very, very cool. Along with the metro, there's a couple other variations of the underground versions. We have a parallel underground metro station. As you can see, that has 2 parallel lines to it, but the blueprint of the building itself on top is very, very small. Again, going with that modern theme that we're seeing in the other types of buildings. And then there is a large underground metro station that has the crossing lines as well. There's also an elevated train station that is now available with this DLC within the train menu itself. Again, if you have the content creator pack that gave you all of those other train stations, there are more options within here. But now this one is actually located in the train menu. So it's basically an elevated version, which is nice, has that modern theme. And then there's also an historical version as well, which is just a little bit slimmer of a profile, and I think could be used very specifically in some maybe smaller town or in an old part of town that has, a smaller station. I think that's really, really nice. Let's take a look at some of the parks that are available for your pedestrian areas as well. And you can see that they mirror some of those colorful, bright patterns that are with some of these newer modern buildings within this. Very lovely little plazas. Some of them are using the bluestone. Then we have these that span across roads, which is also super awesome. This can be built on a pedestrian road or not on a pedestrian road. A couple more of these, a couple other ones that cross over as well. A bunch of new assets that we'll take a look at in a bit here. This one's really, really cool. Little Zen garden kind of a thing. We have a couple fountains. And then we have a larger sort of version of this with all these little like sprinkler fountains that all go off. Along with the new parks, all of the assets that are in these new parks are now available as well, that you can place down anywhere in your city individually, which is really, really cool. Benches and pergolas. Again, a lot of that modern look. Some statues, some food trucks and ice cream trucks, and then all of the decals with all the new textures on them, including the ones that are on the sides of buildings that we were checking out in the modern area. All of those are available, so you can design a bunch of things by placing all these decals down. We also have what is closest we've ever come to having parking lots in the game, and these are carports. So you can place these down. There are no lines within the carports, and it's possible that these are used or meant for the majority of being behind buildings for maybe residents to park in instead of being a sort of public lot. But these are available in different sizes, and I think these could go really, really well behind sort of maybe some higher residential buildings, or you could use them in some sort of an alley. I think that while they're not actually parking lots per se, they do function as parking lots. People could park in them, and they actually are used. These are not just decorative. Just another quick look at the pedestrian service points, the small one, the larger one, which are nice looking buildings. Ignore the barrels out front. This is trash that has not been picked up because this is actually not connected to anything. So yeah, ignore those. But these are the cargo and the trash collection buildings, which even though they're trash collection, they still do look quite nice and don't actually create any pollution on top of it, which is another nice feature. Lastly, within plazas and promenades, we have some specific monument buildings that can only be placed once, unless, of course, you're running mods. But these have sort of pedestrian areas. This is a pedestrian road underneath here. So as you can see, there are bollards. Again, ignore the trash. There are bollards here, and those bollards actually do come down when there's an emergency vehicle that needs to drive through, which is really, really cool. It's a nice little added touch there. But yeah, so this is for pedestrians, sort of like a little plaza for them to little shops in there and little stalls and sort of like a farmer's market type of a thing. And then again, lots of color. That is definitely something that they've been pushing for in this new modern design, is a lot of color. This is another building. This is a museum of postmodern art. Makes sense why it's so colorful. But again, these are all monument type of buildings. Then we have this sunken plaza area, which is very cool. More buildings. I think this one, yeah, that's just commercial zone landmark, kind of generically. Residential zone landmark. Again, it just sort of looks like a big building, but tourists can visit it and all of those things. And then we have an office zone landmark as well. New emergency service buildings, including high capacity hospitals, rather, a high capacity fire station. And then next to that, oh no, where was that? The high capacity, where's the police station? There's a high capacity police station somewhere. There it is. It's much smaller, but it is a high capacity police station. So these offer even more vehicles. So this is a patrol car capacity of 40, whereas the headquarters is only 25. And same with the large hospitals, 800 patients versus 500 patients. And then the fire station is 40 engines versus the 25. And again, they are also a little bit more modern looking as well. Now let's take a look at the content creator packs that are also going to be available separate from plazas and promenades. And one of them is modern mid-century. And that gives you these sort of hotels, these little sort of mid-century modern resorts that you would see. One of them, this one's called Palm Springs, and these are kind of nice assets you could use by like a roadside or on a beachfront if you were going to do it that way. There's also an individual restaurant that is specifically labeled, I believe it's called Roadside Diner. Yep, Roadside Diner. And I think if you place down multiple versions of these, that they will change the signs and the names of things. And then there's also this thing, which is really, really fun. This is called the Mothership. And again, this changes colors, and I believe the sign even might change. Don't hold me to that, but I think the sign might change. This is sort of a, you know, that space age-y type of restaurant that people can also go to as well. And along with those, you are also given all of the individual decals and assets to use that you can decorate and design your city with however you please. But one of the cool things is there are sitting points for some of these tables. Now, I haven't actually tested this myself to see if they will sit at these tables, but there are versions with and without the sitting points. But it's really cool to see moving in the direction of the citizens being able to interact rather than just, you know, for show and staying empty. So that's a really, really cool feature. And lastly, the Seaside Resorts Content Creator Pack. This has so many more assets than I anticipated it having. And it's really, really cool. There's all these hotels that have these vintage looks to them that are all, you know, touristy. Like if you click on one of these, yeah, the Abbott Hotel, it's just, you know, tourists and visitors can visit these things. These vintage looks, it's very, very cool. Different sizes and shapes of them as well, but there's a ton of variations of this. If you scroll all the way through, then you'll have access to all of these, which is very, very cool. But again, you can only place one of them, but if you're running mods, you can place multiple or as many as you would like. And you have 3 of them that are available as water resorts, which is also very nifty. This one has a super long boardwalk that ends with the resort here at the end. Also, snuck into these packs are these old fire stations, the vintage fire station, a vintage police station, and a vintage historical library. These I probably wouldn't have seen, but I was trying to go through every single menu, you know, with the new packs. So there is none for the healthcare, but under the emergency services, if you click on the content creator packs, there's the historical fire station, and then under the content creator packs, there is the historical police station. And then I believe the library, yes, the library is also under the content creator packs under education tab. Well, everybody, I think that is everything that is going to be available in the new expansion, Plazas and Promenades for City Skylines, along with the new content creator packs, Modern Mid-Century, and Seaside Resorts that will be releasing today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.